Hi everyone. So last chapter you have already had an understanding about why fat is important to you and how fat can actually protect you from injury and many other types of health problems. And I also mentioned to you that why is it so important to choose food that contains healthy fats over food that contains unhealthy fat. So this chapter is going to be very straightforward. I'm going to share with you how can you identify what are the foods with healthy fats and what are the food with unhealthy fats. Okay, so technically we divide fat into two big groups. The first group being unsaturated fat and another group will be saturated fat. Okay, in general, unsaturated fat is considered as healthy fat because it helps to reduce our bad cholesterol level, whereas saturated fat is considered to be the unhealthy fat because it increases our bad cholesterol level. As simple as that. Okay, so what are the food source with healthy fats and what are the food source with unhealthy fat? There is an easy way for you to remember this. Okay, firstly, all plants are unsaturated fat except coconut and palm, and all animals are saturated fat except fish. I repeat, all plants are unsaturated fat except coconut and palm. All animals are saturated fat except fish. Okay, which means now on your screen, if you have a unsaturated fat list and a saturated fat food list here, for plants you will have coconut oil, santan and palm oil under the saturated food list, whereas other plants like avocados, unsalted nuts and seeds like almonds, cashew nuts, pecans, macadamia, sunflower seeds, any cooking oil that is made from plants like sunflower oil, canola, olive, peanut oil will be under the unsaturated fat list. And if you're talking about animals, all animal meat like chicken, mutton, beef, lamb, duck, and even dairy products will be under the saturated fat list, whereas fish will be under the unsaturated fat list. Clear? So the advice is, do your very best to get most of your fat in your diet from the unsaturated fat food list and reduce the consumption of food that's in the saturated fat list. And if you notice, palm oil is in the saturated fat list, and unfortunately palm oil is the most commonly used cooking oil in our country, especially in outside food. So this is the reason why we always encourage you to try your best to cook your own food as far as possible, because you get to choose your own cooking oil. And if you are someone who eat outside food very often, it is very likely that most of your fat intake actually comes from the unhealthy ones, and that's going to put you at the higher risk of getting a high bad cholesterol level. Right? So other than these two types of fat, there is another type of unhealthy fat that is much more worse than saturated fat. We call it as trans fat. Trans fat is a type of fat that is released in a manufacturing process called partial hydrogenation. And there are so many studies that have already proven that trans fat can be up to 10 times worse than saturated fat in causing us to have a high bad cholesterol level and a higher risk to get heart attack and stroke. Okay, so how can you actually identify what are the food that contain trans fat? It's just very simple. Whenever you do your grocery shopping and you pick a food product, turn to the back, read the ingredient list and look for partially hydrogenated oil. If the product contains this ingredient, then definitely this product is going to contain a high amount of trans fat. Okay? And of course, not all foods is labeled with ingredient list, right? So in this case, you may want to avoid food like pastries, pies, cookies, tarts, curry puff, and creamer, and also the creamer that is in the 3-in-1 product, which are commonly known to have a high amount of trans fat. Alright? So now we are already done with 3 macronutrients that are giving you calories. And of course, while we are saying that these 3 nutrients are equally crucial to us, but it is good for you to remember that everything will turn bad if you exceed the amount. So make sure you eat the right amount, like what we have discussed in the portion control chapter. Okay? And next chapter we are going to talk about alcohol. Alright, stay tuned. Bye.